The research ship Vordraxivin drifted toward the silent station like a cautious animal approaching a dead world. No lights shone from the windows of the human outpost. No signals came from inside. The place looked abandoned, cold, and wrong, even from a distance. The alien crew felt something strange around it, like the air itself was holding its breath. Inside the ship's control room, Captain Rollo clicked his claws on the floor, a nervous habit. He stared at the empty station on the screen. "Humans built this place only 10 cycles ago," he said quietly. "Where did everyone go?" No one answered. The question made the room feel smaller. The boarding team of 3 moved through the airlock and stepped into the abandoned station. Their helmet lights cut through thick dust. The hallway smelled like burned metal and something else fear. Broken tools, floating food packs, and torn clothing drifted around them as if someone had left in a hurry, or not at all. Tera, the youngest of the team, found scratches on the wall. She leaned closer. "Captain, this is human writing." The marks were uneven, carved by a shaking hand. Rollo read the translation aloud. "Leave now. Do not search for us. Do not stay." The words made all 3 freeze. They walked deeper into the station. Doors opened slowly, as if the station itself was waking up after a long sleep. Their lights flickered. Strange hums echoed through the walls. No one spoke. No one wanted to break the growing silence. Inside the main lab, the team found shattered screens and half-burned data tablets. A chair lay on its side, straps still locked as if someone had tried to hold a human in place. There were claw marks on the metal walls, but not alien claws, human fingernails. Deep and desperate. Tara whispered, "What happened to them?" Before Rollo could answer, a damaged monitor suddenly buzzed to life. Static filled the room. Then a blurry image appeared, a human scientist, pale, sweating, and terrified. His voice trembled. "If you found this, it's already too late." The team leaned closer. "We learned something terrible. Not about a creature, not about a weapon, but about ourselves." His eyes darted around like he feared something nearby. Humanity changed. Not by choice, by discovery. The screen cut to static. Then another fragment appeared, humans running through hallways. Alarms screaming, lights turning red. Someone shouted, "It's waking. It's waking in all of us." Then everything went black again. A heavy thump echoed in a distant corridor. The aliens spun around, weapons raised. But the station was dead and still. Rollo swallowed hard. "This was not an attack," he said in a low voice. "This was fear. Their fear of something inside themselves." The red emergency lights flickered once more, as if warning them. The mission log recorded Rollo's final words in the lab. Whatever truth the humans found, it scared them more than any enemy ever could. The Empire would soon learn why. The data cores from the abandoned station were rushed to the capital world of the Galactic Empire. They were placed inside the Hall of Analysis, a massive chamber filled with floating screens and soft blue light. Only the highest-ranking experts were allowed inside. The moment the human files were connected to the Empire network, the room filled with tension. Everyone could feel it, like the recordings carried a shadow with them. Chief Analyst Varen, an elder alien with silver skin, stood at the center platform. "Begin decoding," he ordered. The screens lit up and the first recovered log appeared. It showed simple images. Humans in lab coats gathering samples, running tests, recording notes. Nothing seemed dangerous, but then the images changed. The humans looked tired. Their hands shook. Their eyes were wide and alert, like they were watching something no one else could see. Analyst Vero frowned. "These are not signs of an outside threat," he said. "This is internal pressure. Something personal. Varen nodded. Continue. The logs shifted again. Now the humans were running dozens of tests on themselves, blood tests. Brain scans, muscle scans, stress recordings, sleep tracking. They were studying their own bodies more than anything outside the station. A younger analyst whispered, "Why would humans study themselves so intensely? What were they looking for?" No one had an answer. When the next series of logs played, the entire room fell silent. One screen showed a human lifting a heavy machine, something no average human should be able to move. Another screen showed a human soldier surviving a fall that would break bones in most species. A third file showed a woman running for 10 minutes without stopping, her heart rate rising far above what medical charts said was safe. Yet she remained conscious and alert. Vero leaned forward. "They are changing," he murmured. "But how?" More logs appeared. One showed a human scientist shaking violently, holding up a vial of glowing blue liquid. "This is the moment," the human said in the recording. "This is where it begins, not an evolution from outside, but a switch inside us. Something old, something we never understood." The recording ended abruptly, showing no results. The Empire analysts exchanged nervous looks. Even Varen seemed unsure. A fourth log loaded. This one showed a group of human researchers arguing. Their voices were clear. "This isn't mutation. This is activation. We didn't become stronger. We always were. We just never reached the limit. Then why now? Why did it start today? Because we found the pattern. We unlocked the trigger." The analysts replayed those lines several times. Activation. Trigger. Always were. The implications were too large to ignore. Varen finally spoke. "Send all findings to the High Council. They must see this." Vero hesitated. "Sir, should we warn them?" Varen slowly turned to the glowing screens, showing humans defying their own biology. "Yes," he said softly. "Tell the Council the truth." He paused. "Humanity is not evolving. Humanity is waking up." The High Council gathered in the Grand Spire, a tower that reached above the clouds of the capital world. 12 council members sat in a circle, each representing a powerful species in the Empire. The air was thick with tension as the decoded human files floated before them. Counselor Drea, tall and calm, opened the meeting. "We are here to understand the human threat, or the human mystery." She gestured to the hologram at the center of the room, a rotating image of Earth. "What you see," Drea said, "is humanity's origin world. A place far more dangerous than we ever realized." The hologram zoomed in, showing storms the size of continents, volcanoes erupting fire, oceans shaking with massive waves. Then it displayed Earth's ancient predators, creatures with huge teeth, powerful bodies, and unbroken survival instincts. The room fell silent. Counselor Schiller narrowed his eyes. "These beasts lived on the same planet as humans." Drea nodded. "Yes, for most species, surviving a world like this would be impossible. But humans did more than survive. They grew stronger. New files appeared. Historical videos showing humans hunting with simple tools, facing storms, climbing mountains, building shelters against brutal winters. Each image proved the same truth. Humans grew in a world that tried to kill them every day. Counselor. Lorcan tapped his claws nervously. "This explains their resilience, their ability to endure wounds and keep fighting." Drea continued, "But it goes beyond endurance. Earth forced humans to adapt again and again. Every disaster, every enemy, every hardship carved them into something tough, something flexible. Their bodies changed. Their minds evolved." Another hologram appeared, showing human brain activity during danger. Unlike other species who froze or panicked, human brains became more active during fear, more focused, more creative. They learn fastest under pressure, Drea explained. They grow strongest in danger. Their biology rewards them for surviving stress. Counselor Vorin shook his head slowly. This is unnatural. Evolution should not be this. Aggressive? Drea replied. It is not aggression. It is necessity. Earth forced it. The files continued to play. They showed humans rebuilding cities after disasters, creating medicine under pressure, exploring unknown lands with little more than courage and hope. Their history was not one of comforted, was a story of endless struggle, but then the final set of files loaded. Everyone leaned in. These files showed ancient human myth stories. From thousands of years ago, long before space travel. Stories of humans performing impossible feats, fighting giant beasts, lifting massive stones, surviving wounds that should have killed them. For years, scholars believed these were exaggerations or myths, but the scientific notes from the abandoned station suggested something else. What if the old stories were not fiction? What if humans once had abilities stronger than today? What if those abilities never disappeared, only went silent? The council room grew cold. Counselor Schiller whispered the thought forming in every mind. Are we seeing the return of humanity's ancient strength? Drea answered with a steady voice, though fear trembled beneath her words. Yes, and the humans themselves have only just discovered it. The Galactic Empire did not waste time. After seeing the human files, they sent a special patrol ship, the Esmore to search for living humans. Their goal was simple: find survivors, ask questions, and measure the danger. But nothing about humanity ever stayed simple. The Esmora traveled into a remote stretch of space, far from trade routes and star lanes. The area contained dozens of empty moons, old mining stations, and dead colonies. It was the perfect place for someone to hide. It was the perfect place for someone to hide. Pilot Jenner scanned the monitors. I'm picking up faint energy signatures from Moon R9. Very faint. Like someone wants them hidden. Captain Zaire flicked his tail, uneasy. Humans. Possibly. The ship descended toward the moon's surface. The land below looked barren gray sand, sharp rocks, no light, no sound. Nothing suggested life. But as they flew closer, strange shapes appeared under the surface. Hidden doors. Reinforced walls. Heat signatures from deep underground. Humans built a base here, Jenner said. But it's not a military base. It's something else, Zaire ordered the landing. Dust rose as the patrol ship touched the ground, the moment the crew stepped outside. The hidden doors in the ground slid open not slowly, not hesitantly, but with perfect timing, as if the humans inside already knew everything about their arrival. Out of the darkness, several humans stepped forward. They weren't armored soldiers. They weren't scientists. They looked like ordinary people, men and women in simple clothing. But something about them was wrong. Not dangerous, not violent, simply to calm. Most species became nervous when meeting strangers. Humans, however, stared with steady eyes, relaxed shoulders, and quiet confidence. Their stillness was unsettling. One of them stepped forward. He looked young, maybe in his early 30s, with sharp eyes that observed everything at once. I am Commander Hale, he said. His voice was calm but strong. Welcome to our settlement. Captain Zaire nodded. We are not here to harm you. We are here to ask what happened at the Human Research Station. The humans exchanged looked serious ones. Hale sighed. We knew this day would come. He invited the aliens inside the underground settlement. The hallways were narrow, built from reinforced metal, with dim emergency lights glowing along the floor. Children trained quietly in one room, balancing on beams and practicing controlled breathing. Adults welded armor plates onto doors and checked equipment that looked more like survival gear than weapons. It didn't feel like a military base. It felt like a species preparing for a disaster they expected at any moment. Captain Zaire asked, "Why do you live like this? Why so much training? Why so much security?" Hale stopped walking and turned to face them. "We prepare because danger always comes," he said. "We cannot afford to be weak. Not anymore." Jenner swallowed. "Is this because of the discovery? The change happening in humans?" Hale's expression hardened. "Change? No, not change." He pointed to his chest. "We only unlocked what was already inside us." He continued walking, leaving the aliens frozen in place for the first time. The Empire crew realized something terrible and undeniable. Humans were no longer hiding. They were preparing, and whatever they were preparing for. It was not small back in the Empire capital. The analysts continued digging through the final, most corrupted human files. These were the recordings taken just hours before the abandoned research station went silent. Many files were broken, blurry, or filled with static, but the pieces that remained were enough to shake every expert in the Hall of Analysis. Chief Canalist Varen watched a new log load onto the main screen. At first, it showed nothing but darkness and quiet breathing. Then lights flickered, revealing a human scientist gripping the edge of a desk. His hands were trembling. But his voice was steady in a way that felt unnatural. "We have confirmed the trigger," he whispered. "It's real. The awakening response is real." Varen froze. "The awakening response," he repeated. "What are they awakening?" Another analyst quickly pulled up cross-referenced notes. "Sir, the humans mentioned this term in earlier logs, but only as theory. They believed humans had an ancient biological ability that activates under extreme danger. A survival switch." Varen's eyes widened. "And they found it." The recording continued. The human scientist looked directly into the camera. His pupils were dilated, almost glowing under the dim lights. "It starts with stress," he said, "but not ordinary stress. Extreme fear. The kind that pushes the brain into a new state." He lifted a scanner and placed it against his arm. The screen showed his muscle fibers tightening, thickening, reacting as if preparing for battle. Heart rate increases. Strength increases. Reflexes multiply. Pain resistance changes. But this is only the surface. He took a shaky breath. Humans are not evolving. Humans are remembering. The room of Empire analysts went silent. Another recording loaded next. This one showed multiple human scientists running tests on themselves, pushing their bodies, triggering the strange response. One researcher lifted a metal crate heavier than her entire body weight. Another held his breath for over 15 minutes. A man allowed boiling water to spill onto his arm, yet barely flinched. "These feats are impossible," Vera whispered. "No species should be capable of this." Varen disagreed. "It is possible. That is what makes it terrifying." The final log began to play. The camera showed the main lab filled with alarms. Red lights flashed. Papers and tools were scattered everywhere. Humans rushed around with fear and urgency. One scientist shouted over the noise, "It's spreading. The response is activating on its own." Another yelled, "We awakened something ancient older than our recorded history." The camera shook as if something powerful moved nearby. A loud boom echoed through the hall. "Shut it down. We can't. It's in our biology. Then we must warn the galaxy before someone tries to provoke it." The recording ended with the same man from earlier staring into the lens, sweat dripping down his face. "We found the truth about ourselves. And now we can't go back." The screen went black. No one in the Hall of Analysis spoke. Not for minutes. Not until Varen finally whispered the words none of them wanted to say. Humans did not unleash a monster. They unleash humanity. The Galactic Council chamber blazed with noise. Dozens of voices overlapped, each louder than the last, all shouting about humans. The lights flickered above the spiraling room as the Empire's leaders argued, panicked, and feared what they did not understand. Counselor Schiller slammed his staff on the floor. Order! We need order. But his voice barely survived in the storm of arguments. Last. Counselor Drea activated the silence field, washing the room in quiet air. All of you, she said calmly, saw the same recordings we did. Humanity has awakened a biological ability we never thought possible. We must decide how the Empire will respond. A hologram of a human, glowing red, appeared in the center of the room. It displayed the data: increased strength, enhanced speed, extreme endurance, heightened senses, and a brain that grew sharper under fear instead of weaker. The sight made several counselors shift uncomfortably. Counselor Lorcan stood first. His tail twitched sharply. We must contain humanity. Their awakening response is unpredictable. If we do not act now, they may become unstoppable. Several voices agreed immediately, but Counselor Vorin rose next. Contain them. You mean imprison an entire species based on fear? No. We must understand them, not fight them. This sparked another wave of arguments from the upper seats. Counselor Meraki called out, the humans have not shown aggression. Their logs show fear of harming others, fear of losing control. They tried to warn us. Schiller shook his head. And what if they lose control anyway? Fear does not erase danger. Drea raised a hand. We must consider every perspective. The humans we found on Moon R9 were disciplined, cautious, and calm. They trained themselves to control whatever they awakened. But why? Lorcan demanded. If they seek peace, why prepare for war? Drea answered softly, because they know themselves better than we do. A heavy silence spread. Chief Analyst Varin entered the chamber holding a data tablet. His face looked grim. Counselors, I bring the final conclusion from the Hall of Analysis. Everyone leaned forward. Varin spoke clearly, each word heavy. Humanity did not evolve new abilities. They reactivated old ones' abilities that may have existed before their recorded history. Gasps echoed through the room. Schiller demanded, Are you saying humans were once stronger? Maybe, Varin replied. But they may not even know the full extent themselves. The chamber fell into tense debate again, but Drea silenced them once more. We stand at a crossroads, she said. 3 options lie before us. She lifted 3 fingers. 1, we form an alliance, trusting humanity to control their awakening. 2, we isolate them, forbidding expansion until we understand the truth. 3, we strike first, believing their awakening will one day destroy us. None of the options felt safe, as the counselors argued again. The silent hollow image of the human remained at the center, calm, powerful, and frighteningly unknown. The Empire realized the deepest truth that night. They were not debating what humanity might become. They were debating what humanity already was, and no one could agree on whether that made humans the galaxy's greatest hope or its greatest threat. The Galactic Council decided at last after hours of debate, fear, and shouting that they needed answers straight from humanity itself. No more guessing. No more theories. They would send a small diplomatic team to the hidden human colony on Moon R-9. Captain Zaire, the same alien who first met the humans, was chosen to lead the mission. He felt both honored and terrified. Humans were calm, polite, and strangely composed, but they carried an energy that made his instincts tighten, like he was standing near a roaring fire that hadn't yet touched him. The shuttle descended into the underground human settlement once again. This time, humans were already waiting. They stood in quiet, Roseman women, and even children, With steady eyes and disciplined posture, Commander Hale stepped forward. The Empire has questions. We have answers. Follow me. He led the aliens into a circular hall deep beneath the moon's surface. The room was simple metal walls, dim lights, and no decoration, but it felt heavy with purpose. Humans took their seats with the silence of trained soldiers. Zaire swallowed. We come on behalf of the Galactic Empire. We need to understand what awakened inside your species. Hale nodded. We expected this question. A woman stood from her seat. She looked older, with sharp eyes that held centuries of experience. My name is Dr. Mara Len, she said. I was one of the researchers at the station you found. The alien stiffened. She was a survivor. You asked what we awakened, she continued. But this is the wrong question. She tapped a device on the table. A hologram appeared, showing ancient human carvings, old legends, and faded drawings of people performing impossible feats. We did not create anything new, she said. Our ancestors were stronger than we ever knew. Something happened long ago, something that weakened us slowly over time. Commander Hale added, our research found traces of a suppressor. Something in our evolution pushed our abilities deep inside, locking them away. Zaire's voice trembled, and the awakening response. You unlocked it. No, Dr. Len replied. We removed the lock. Nature did the rest. More holograms appeared, scans of human bodies, stress responses, changes in brainwaves. Our bodies are reclaiming their true form, she said. Slowly, carefully, with great cost. Zaire leaned back, overwhelmed. Why warn the galaxy? Why leave messages telling others to stay away? Hale looked at him with a calm, heavy expression. Because we feared what we might become before we learned control. Dr. Len stepped forward. But we are learning. We are adapting. We have no wish for war. Humanity does not want to conquer the galaxy. She paused. But we will not be conquered again. Not by fate. Not by fear. Not by anyone. Silence claimed the room. Then Hale spoke the final words with quiet certainty. You wanted the truth about humanity. He raised his hand and clenched it. This is the truth. We have awakened. We are not the species you once knew. And the galaxy must decide if it will stand with us or tremble before what comes next. The lights flickered. The room darkened, and the transmission sent back to the Empire ended there. The entire galaxy would feel the ripple.